And we're live.
And we are live. All right, so big ceremony this weekend in Myrtle Beach.
Mm-hmm. What'd you learn?
So I'm still kind of integrating the experience, which is like, that's actually something that's like, that I've learned in the last, I don't know, probably 3 to 6 months. With the ketamine stuff, you don't just like go do a psychedelic thing and then like, oh, that was the answer, and then you're done. Like,
you don't want to judge it too soon or try to make almost you almost want to resist trying to make sense of it too soon and just let it just sit with it.
Yes. So in fact, the instructions I got from my ketamine sessions were, don't talk to anybody about the experience until you've had the integration session the next day. Because you're so neuroplastic at that time that if you start dwelling on the wrong things, you're actually just reinforcing like bad pathways instead of like...
Right, if you start, because you can miss it, you could be like, oh my God, I need to leave my family and move to the jungle and become a monk.
I have to go to Monkland.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and I think that's almost the direction anybody who has that takeaway is probably misinterpreting the experience, right? There's maybe a few people that are supposed to go pray on a mountain for the rest of their lives.
There are some.
Yeah, because it's and I think that's why integration is so important, because it's such a confusing experience, particularly the first time or first couple of times. I mean, really, any time. It's always there's always a lot of room for misinterpretation of the messages, but I guess it's important to clarify that you didn't actually do psychedelics last weekend. That is not. It's a different type of ceremony.
It's a different ceremony, and I just had therapy today, and
so you had your integration session.
I had my integration session, so now I can talk about it
for your vacation.
For my vacation, which is a whole other topic. So, the words that kept coming up that were most interesting to me from therapy today was two things. The first one is this concept of being resourced or under-resourced. And then this other concept of observer mind. And Anna mentioned that she could tell just from the way that I was talking about some of the challenges that I had over the weekend, that I was talking about them from like an observer perspective more than just being in it. So it's like,
right.
Historically, I would have been like, I'm angry at da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, it's more like, I'm noticing that when this happens, it brings up senses of anger. Those are very different framings of the exact same thing.
Totally different perspective on the exact same situation.
So those are like the two things that really came up. But the ceremony was, one of the things that it showed me was, anytime I go somewhere that's not somewhere I'm familiar with people that I know super, super well, or like am doing something that I chose or curated, I go into this like weird kind of like, it's the same thing I did when I went to a really wealthy private school and I was like the poor kid. My guard goes up, I get kind of quiet, my smile goes away. Like, I don't smile as much.
You're like fish out of water.
And I'm like trying to like kind of make sure I'm safe. And so
right.
I'm in this place with basically people from South Carolina, and it's like all these like kind of like biker people and just like a different culture than I'm used to. And
it's like kind of, would you equate it to like Port Aransas during 4th of July?
Yes.
Like, it's like dirty beach culture.
It's like dirty beach culture. And like what I did is what I always do at first, which is I was like, I shouldn't be here. I belong somewhere nicer. I should be like, just all this terrible judgment. Like, these people are not healthy or they're not fucking living the way they should be living.
Judgment.
It's all judgment.
Extreme judgment.
And what judgment does, very, very good job of, is separating me from other people. And it's like, it's very clearly just ego. And I've always heard it said that like ego is attempting to isolate you. Like that's its goal, is to separate you from
You're
the
different
truth.
and special, and you're different from everybody. Yeah.
You're unique. You're terminally
Yeah,
unique.
yeah. Take like the most extreme succumbing to ego, and it is narcissism, right?
Yes.
So it's like I'm different and special, and everybody's below me, and everybody bends to my will. And
So I basically went full narcissist.
which is, I mean, you're not
I'm not a narcissist.
definitely not a narcissist. That's like, yeah.
So yeah, it's a blanket. But I basically got very judgmental.
You were narrowly focused in ego.
I was scared, I was uncomfortable, I was out of my element, and so I got defensive and went judgmental as a defense mechanism.
Yep.
And I'm also at like 2.5 milligrams on Lexapro now.
Dang.
So tapering down significantly. So almost done skis. And so that was the first thing I noticed about myself, and I noticed that that's a pattern that I have with any situation. Like, I remember the first campfire I came to. I was like so nervous to be around all these fucking like older dudes that have just been like,
We're all the same age though, right? Mike's a little older.
Mike's
Or
a
I guess
little older.
I'm like a year older.
You guys just
How old are
seem like you're like upperclassmen in my head. That's the way it looked like to me in my head.
That's a total fabrication.
Total fabrication.
I looked at you as like, I looked at you as like this super smart, successful finance entrepreneur guy.
Man, how wrong were you?
Dude, I was totally right. Look at us now, bro.
So I do that.
Isn't it wild
That
that
is
like
fucking
you
crazy.
think that and I think this, and we're at the same place, and it's like, yeah,
It's so crazy. But that's what's happening to everyone
it's
everywhere.
almost like you're both, right?
Yes.
And it's like, what are you going to choose to believe you are?
And you can choose either
Yeah.
path, and no one's going to save you from choosing.
And
So-
some people will still think you're a fucking idiot or whatever,
Yeah,
and some
whatever.
people are going to think you're super smart and awesome.
So
It doesn't fucking matter. It's like, what do you think about yourself?
So what do you think?
Yeah.
So that was really interesting because I did some prayer and meditation and some writing, and because those are the tools that I have in my tool belt.
You've been crushing the meditation.
I've been trying to.
And the newest journey that we're both on of writing.
yes.
Like actually, not just casually journaling, like actually sitting down and trying to write, trying to get our thoughts out of our heads.
Well, so what we talked about this morning, which is you and I have talked about how we want to get better as communicators.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what the fuck is communicating?
Mm-hmm.
Communicating is clearly expressing an idea or belief or whatever so that the other party or groups of people can hear it properly.
Yeah, it's we've got these complex ideas in our heads, everybody does, and then we have these clunky human words that we can string together in sentences to hopefully get the idea out of my head into your head. And the more eloquent we can be with our words and our delivery and even like tone of voice, like my big thing is like, I have a tendency to use a tone of voice that shuts people down.
Yes.
I get super passionate and I sound like a dick oftentimes.
Yeah.
And I also, I mean, all the things you were describing, that fucking happens to me all the time too. But yeah, the communication thing, it's like, it's what's the idea? How well do you understand the idea in your head? Because ideas worth communicating are complex, right? And there's degrees of understanding of these ideas, and the more you sit with them and the more you kind of contemplate and try to articulate them to yourself, the better you understand the idea. And then from there, what words are you going to use? How are you going to string those words together? And what is your...
Because languages are it's literally programming, right? Because the words are an abstraction of an idea that's in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And like the base language is the idea and feeling that you have. And then you have these abstracted programs to try to explain it, which are words.
Yep.
And then you string those objects together. It's literally programming. So what we're thinking is like, well, I don't know. What I was talking to you about is I start writing, and then I start wondering if the words that I'm using are the most accurate.
The camera overheated on the dashboard, so we've got it in the cup holder.
By the dashboard lights.
What were we talking about? That was a while ago.
That was a hot minute ago.
We've talked about quite a bit since then.
Handled a few things since then. Got our affairs in order.
What were we talking about? I have no idea.
I have no fucking clue, but...
Oh shit. We're wiggling.
Are we wiggling a lot?
Should be fine. I mean, we started talking about your vacation that turned out wasn't actually a vacation, and we were referring to it as a ceremony, and we were probably confusing people. So maybe a little insights. So after I went to an ayahuasca retreat for the second time in 2003 or 2023. 23. It was. I've been saying 22. It was 23.
It was?
I found out this weekend. So it was 2 years ago. I had this perspective that like it was like the first time that I felt like I really understood what an ayahuasca ceremony was, and I had this realization that like, oh, the entire weekend is the ceremony. It's not just you get the magic potion, drink it, and hallucinate, and then like that's the ceremony. It's this entire well planned out weekend where you do a lot of different things, including an actual ayahuasca ritual.
You do some other crazy shit too, though.
You do this stuff called sananga, which is these eye drops that are one of the most painful things I've ever done. They put these eye drops in your eye that make your eyes feel like they're on fire for about 3 to 5 minutes, and it's excruciating pain.
And this is while you're on ayahuasca?
No.
Oh,
no,
it's a separate thing.
So the whole weekend is like.
I thought you did it while you were.
No. I mean, I know that every facilitator does the ceremonies differently. So maybe some people do, but that would be a terrible experience. In my.
In my
guesstimation.
Okay. Okay, so I didn't know that. It's called sananga?
Sananga, and then hape, which is spelled like rape, but it's got like one of those little asterisks over the E. It's called hape. Okay. And that's where they blow this like tobacco spice mixture up your nose, and it burns like fuck, and it gives you, I guess, a tobacco high. But it's all everything's done ceremonially. Yeah. And the way that mine has been structured, and I've gone to the same one 3 times, and it's always kind of the same. Friday, you get there around 5, and then you actually have the first actual ayahuasca ceremony, like 6 or 7, and then you wake up the next day. You have breakfast. It's all very communal. You're with the same people, and
where are you staying?
It's this beautiful piece of property with no running water. They've got some porta potties out there, and they've got this place that I've gone has cabins that have window units, so it's like there is like a nice cold room. You get to sleep in a bed.
Oh, that's nice.
But you're pretty much outside, like immersing yourself in the natural world.
What is
the entire weekend.
What is going to bed like after you do this ceremony? Like, how do you decide it's time to go to bed?
I mean, it's just you don't really sleep a whole lot.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I don't. Some people. This one lady, because you do sharing circles, so the next day you share your experience. This one lady said that she had no hallucinations.
What?
She just slept for like 14 hours.
What?
Yeah, she had like a cot in the circle outside, and she fell asleep and had like the deepest sleep ever for like 14 hours.
What?
Which sounds fucking awesome. Yeah. And
you get what you need, I guess.
So anyway, long story short, you're doing it's like you do ayahuasca twice. You do a cacao ceremony on Sunday morning, which is like a thick hot chocolate type drink, and it's like you don't really hallucinate, but it's supposed to open your heart chakras. Is what they say, and it's supposed to like get you in touch with your emotions, whatever. But anyway, so what I realized the second time I ever experienced one of these retreats is the entire thing is the ceremony, and the entire ceremony, the entire weekend is this microcosm for life. And actually, like, every day is a ceremony, and every stressful situation that you're in is a ceremony of sorts, where if you don't fight it, if you don't grab for something to extinguish the angst, extinguish the negative emotions, then on the other side of it is lessons and learnings. And so that it was like this profound, like, okay, I understand the whole point of this retreat and why it's structured this way, and now it's like I see everything as a ceremony. So I've been saying that since 2003, and then you referred to last weekend as a ceremony.
Yeah, I've sort of adopted your phrasing.
Yeah.
Well, the Vipassana meditation, the way it works is I don't know a ton about it just because I've only done it once, and then I've been like trying to pick it back up recently. But what it says is you focus on breathing because the untrained mind isn't really good at kind of like taking a lot of stuff into account at the same time. So you focus on the breath in and out, and you kind of what they say you do is you observe things, and you observe the impermanence of things. Specifically, and talking about the thing that happens to your eyes, there's these sessions that we would have towards the end of the 10 days called strong sits, where the goal was to sit completely still for an entire hour, regardless of what sort of sensations arose on your body. And so you'd get like a really bad itch on your nose, your fucking knee, like for me, my knee lit up, like it was in so much pain. But by day like 8 or 9, you could literally just go into full observer mind and just watch the pain and not be attached to it at all. And so I would just sit there and watch this fucking like emanating red kind of like energy in my knee, and then eventually
You surrender to the pain.
and then it just went away.
You stop struggling.
It's crazy.
But yeah, and so everything is a ceremony. Every day is a ceremony.
Yeah.
And you can either engage with it, or you can numb yourself and disconnect from it. And I think that's what I did for so long before understanding that concept. It was mindlessly grab for something to make the bad feeling go away. And it's been this long journey of figuring out, like, oh, the bad feeling is actually like my body, my mind, my fucking spirit working through these issues.
Yeah.
And if I allow it to do the work,
And I would lump boredom in with the bad feelings.
1,000%, because that's just anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Because what's boredom? Yeah, it's just any negative emotion. It's like sit with it.
So the things I used to reach for the most were food, alcohol, and that's pretty much it. And then after some psychedelic therapy, I have found myself like mentally choosing not to look at my phone when I want to look at it.
The phone is a huge one. The phone, I mean, and that's probably one of my biggest current, like, still addictions. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's like you never get rid of all of them. Nobody's just I mean, unless you're a fucking monk, right?
Yeah.
But like, the phone is the easiest little mini casino in your pocket to grab and use to distract yourself from whatever negative emotion you're experiencing.
Watch The Social fucking Network. Like, they talk about all these all these Silicon Valley like tech execs don't let their kids have phones. like smartphones.
Yeah.
They don't let them on these platforms because they know
See,
what the fuck
I
it
don't
is.
know that that's the answer. That's like preaching abstinence, right? It's like teaching. I mean, it's hard, yeah. Because
But until you're 12 or 13, you don't let a fucking young
Right.
kid fuck around.
Yeah. I mean, man, I don't know. I'm torn on, like, I think that technology is a super powerful tool I think I think that
But
technology is here to stay. It's a part of our lives. It's only going to become more important to use and understand technology in order to navigate the world. Unless you're just like excommunicating yourself from modern society, which I don't plan on doing, and I don't think that's what my kids want to do, and I don't think that's what I want for them. I think it's more valuable to train them on how to use the technology productively and how to avoid using it for like self-destructive purposes.
But like, what if the argument they make in Social Dilemma or whatever it's called, or not Social Network, Social Dilemma, is that like there are hundreds, if not thousands, of engineers who are infinitely funded to try to like game your kid or you or anybody
Totally.
into like abusing it.
Well, you have to, again, like part of educating them is limiting what they can use it for, right? So it's like, Charlotte has a phone because she's out and about. We're dropping her off at the mall with her friends, and it's like she needs to be able to get a hold of us instantly if, whatever. But she's not on social media.
How is she not?
We don't allow her to. What do you mean?
So like you just don't download that, or like how does that work?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that we've done a good job of is building a level of trust and respect, mutual trust and mutual respect with our kids. So, as of now, they're pretty good about listening to us. If we're like, hey, you can have this phone, but you can't be on social media. They're not going to like secretly make a social media account.
Got it.
That may change as they get older. I don't know, to be determined. But like Henry has an Instagram account, and he has
and what
a
have you
YouTube.
What have you told him what Instagram is? Like, what is his understanding of the point of Instagram? Why does he have an account?
One, it's legitimately used to connect with his friends. So, most of the kids at his middle school have Instagram, and he's friends with them on there, and they share bullshit. And like he uses it for entertainment, right? We send memes and shit back and forth. I send him skate videos. It's like it's TV, right? It's like they're not channel surfing, they're scrolling. But you also have to teach them that just like when TV was the only option, some kids sat around and watched TV 5-6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, right?
Me.
So, yeah, look at you, you're fine.
I'm fine.
For the most part.
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm a fucking wreck, man.
After a little more therapy. But like, so it's like.
But we're talking about ceremonies.
You teach them what it is, and so like, he has a Depop account where he is thrifting clothes and selling them on Depop, and then he has
which is so fucking tight.
And on his Instagram, he will do like.
He'll like
stuff
send
about thrifting, and
cool.
and as he's getting like better and better at it, I mean, it's like a legit
account.
It's a legit like hustle for him at this point. And we go to the Goodwill bins, and like we just went last weekend to the bins. He got.
Did y'all buy that Rogan podcast shirt?
No.
That's crazy.
Shit was hilarious, but no. But he found a vintage Nike hoodie. With Nike Air hoodie with the center embroidery. They sell for $150 to $200. $2 a pound at the Goodwill bins.
How many pounds did that thing come in at?
I mean, fuck, I don't know. He got like I think he bought almost died. I think he bought $40 worth of. It was like a giant shopping cart filled with shit. And he's already got it all up and listed on Depop.
That is so sick.
I brought in 3 orders today
What have you
his
told him
Depop.
about inventory management?
I'm slowly trying. Like it's interesting because by all accounts I am an e-commerce expert, right? Like
Yep.
I've been doing e-commerce for 15 years.
Yeah.
And he is so uninterested in my help. Which I love that, right? Like I'm very careful about making suggestions. I've been like, you should put everything in a spreadsheet and track, like, what you bought it for, but I just like leave him to his own devices. He does it all himself.
That is so funny.
But he's using Instagram to connect with his friends and to like
Talk about thrifting.
and to post stuff
hobbies.
about his hobbies, right? And then he uses YouTube to like he makes videos and posts them on YouTube, so it's like a platform for him to share stuff that he's making, right? And then he uses it some for entertainment, but it's and every kid's different too. Like we'll see as the other kids get of age. It's like you got to put different parameters on different kids based on whatever, right? But I think a lot of parenting is like just educating your kids on what things are and how they should be used and how they shouldn't be used and what things just shouldn't be used at all. And like, I mean, I talked to Henry in particular about drugs, and he is, about why we're making and selling cannabis products, and like, and just explaining what they are, right? And the dangers of them, and like why kids shouldn't do them, and all of that. And it's like, if it's not like a wagging your finger at them, I think that you can, again, it goes back to communication, right? It's like, if you're coming from a place of fear and you're like, you better fucking not do drugs. Drugs are bad. They're gonna kill you. They're gonna make you a loser. And then if you're like pushing that stuff, and then all of a sudden your kid has the opportunity to smoke some weed, and they're like, this is fucking awesome.
Well, that was
what
tight.
the hell were they talking about, right? It's like, yeah, it's like super enjoyable, but here are the dangers. And it's also not something that is good for a developing mind. And it's also something that you need a super high level of maturity to manage your relationship with it, which I think is also analogous with technology, right?
Yeah.
Which is why you have to make sure you put parameters on it. But I don't know. It's also like, dude, I don't know. I'm a first-time parent.
Yeah.
So this is all I'm just making up the strategy, but
Totally.
it's working so far, and we'll keep readjusting as needed, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you had a ceremony that was not a traditional psychedelic ceremony, but it was equally insightful. And,
Yeah.
And next weekend you're doing an actual psychedelic ceremony
Yes,
for the first time.
I have a shaman who is going to take me through a psilocybin therapy session. And so I'm going to get an Airbnb out in the hill country, and I'm going to show up at 2. We're going to start at like 2-ish and start on like a low dose and keep working up until I'm kind of in the zone where ego's starting to dissolve. And it should go for 6 or 7 hours. And then I'll spend the night alone out at the Airbnb, and then the next morning the shaman will come out for an integration session where we talk about what came up, and then I'll be able to.
And so will this be like inside, outside?
No, I'll be blindfolded for the majority of the.
So this is a very inward journey.
Very inward. So yeah, I'll be blindfolded for the majority of the 6-7 hours. I was told that there will be times where like I'll just want to come up for air, and I'll end up taking the, mask off and just being like, all right, I need a little break.
And so, for clarification, you have done ketamine. How many ketamine?
5 ketamine therapy sessions with my therapist.
So these are essentially 5 ketamine ceremonies.
Yeah, I've had 5 ketamine ceremonies, and the thing that I'm starting to understand about a ceremony, which is like same thing that's starting to happen with this writing that we're doing, which is that words are starting to break down for me in terms of their meaning. Because a ceremony the lines of starting and stopping a ceremony are starting to blur.
It's all one giant.
And it's just all one fucking thing. Like, your whole life is just
one ceremony.
a big ceremony that you can choose to participate in or not, and you can choose to get a lot out of it or not. And the scariest thing that I've not scary thing, but I guess the scariest thing I've come to realize about this life ceremony is that if you're lucky, someone might try to shake you awake and like help you get more out of life than maybe you're getting right now. But for the most part, it's not that nobody cares, but like nobody's gonna stop you from making bad choices.
You ever seen The Matrix?
Oh, I've seen The Matrix. And it's like, not everybody gets that call from Morpheus. Not everybody gets that call.
Not everybody gets to go up to the Nebuchadnezzar.
Not everyone gets the pill option. But it's like, it's true. Like, I could have spent we were talking about this the other night with that other podcast, but like, self-pity was definitely the first thing I ever latched onto. Mm-hmm. And I stayed addicted to self-pity for decades. Mm-hmm. And I could still be addicted to it, and no one would stop me. It's like, that's scary as fuck.
Yeah, dude. Man. It's just very interesting that the psychedelics are emerging so rapidly back into culture, where for the history of humans, these psychedelic ceremonies have been a part of pretty much every culture.
And if you read the DMT Spirit Molecule book, the one about the guy that did the clinical trials, we had a literal psychological therapeutic renaissance for about 20 years with psychedelics.
Yeah. It tried to reemerge. They tried to reemerge.
And basically from the 50s until the early 70s, they were like, yeah, it's pretty much proven now that psychedelic medicine makes therapy infinitely more effective.
And then they squashed it.
And then it got squashed because too many people found LSD that was getting made out of labs.
I don't know. I don't know how to talk about this in a way that.
Yeah.
It's kind of the only effective thing. It's the only like thing that really fucking works.
For you and for me.
For you and for me, and for a lot of other people that I have encountered.
I'll say that I'm willing to go and die on a hill and say that it is the most effective therapeutic modality that exists, and you can do with that what you will, because your time on Earth is finite.
I would love to hear an argument to the contrary of that.
You have a limited amount of time on Earth, therefore, do what you will with the information at hand.
I've had this thought of like, I don't want to sell people on psychedelic therapy. And I think I maybe adopted that from some shit that I've heard, but I think I actually do want to sell people on at least exploring it as an option, because I think any resistance to it is cultural programming, that there's something to be feared or something negative or something that's like not good about it, or oh, you could get schizophrenic. I mean, maybe there's some people that shouldn't do it. Maybe there are some people that are like so mentally fragile that they do a responsible, assisted psychedelic therapy experience and they get schizophrenia. I've never encountered that.
There's also people that drink and then they kill themselves.
So it's like, okay, maybe. So like, I guess as like we might be e-commerce experts, but we're definitely not therapy or psychedelic experts. We have, I don't know. I just think that it's something that everybody should at least, if it sparks any amount of curiosity, it's something to explore, because the benefits are so unbelievably undeniable. It's like, it's just so fucking effective.
I have accomplished more in the 6 months that I've been on psychedelic therapy than I have in decades of other work.
And the only thing you've done is ketamine, which is like It's helpful, but it's like a
like
synthetic.
the least, yeah.
You're about to experience the real shit directly from the big man upstairs.
The fucking source.
The shit he put here.
Now I have been dosing myself with some lion's mane as I've been coming down off of Lexapro. So
and you said that's been working.
Yeah, and I've been developing a relationship with the fun guys.
Yes. I would not doubt that there's something to that, honestly. I don't know, man. I just I think it's a shame that these experiences have been demonized and essentially excommunicated from culture and from any kind of like mainstream adoption. And I think it's so interesting that they're reemerging, and I think it's so interesting the way that they're reemerging in this kind of clinical, very responsible, grown-up way. And it's not hippies going to Woodstock and doing acid at a Jimi Hendrix concert, which would be tight as fuck, but that's not like the best way to use them to actually heal your shit. There is the amount of preparation that you have done leading up to your first ever psilocybin experience.
Crazy.
You've been
It's like a year and change.
The maximum amount of preparation.
I did a year of EMDR and then 6 months of ketamine
for a 4 to 6 hour experience that you're going to have this weekend, and then the amount of integration that you're going to do afterwards.
Yeah,
and so that's how they need to be used. It's not like there's a gigantic difference between taking them rogue and taking them recreationally, which I have nothing against. But if you're really looking to dig in and potentially heal the underlying shit that is the actual cause of the things causing the negative emotions, holding you back, it's like there's a way to do it properly.
I liked what we were talking about earlier, which is that anxiety is actually it's a guide. Anxiety is a guide.
I think it's I now think of it as, oh, this is my body healing itself. Like whatever like situation I'm at odds with, it's like the anxiety is, if I were to cut it off, I would stop the healing.
So for me, it's anxiety is telling me there's something wrong about either this situation or your relationship to it that needs to be addressed.
Yes. Yeah, another way of saying the same thing. Basically, it's like this honing mechanism. It's like when you're veering off and your car starts beeping.
Yeah,
right?
Anxiety is like a GPS.
And so extreme anxiety, you're in the ditch.
Yeah, you're off. You drove the boat into the...
But if it's mild anxiety, you're like veering into the shoulder.
Yeah.
And so with therapy and with all of these different modalities, you can resolve the anxiety. You can re-hone that mechanism to the point where the anxiety is more manageable, and like you don't need the intervention of pharmaceuticals or alcohol or even cannabis or like these things that we will grab for that kind of ease. They soothe the pain of the negative emotions. I think I personally, in my experience, I've been able to get to a point where I'm not fucking using anything, and I'm sitting with the anxiety and I'm working through it and trying to figure out what the lesson is to learn from it.
As I've been doing the breath work and the meditation, when anxiety comes up, I just go focus on the breath and I just focus on my breathing. And that's been helping me process, and it's giving me that space rather than being the like feelings. I'm now observing the feelings. That's like the fucking...
Yeah, that's what you said earlier, maybe off camera, but like being the observer.
Yeah, that's the good shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just, it's like once... How can more people discover I mean, no, barely anyone's going to listen to this, right?
31 people.
We have 21 subscribers on Spotify.
And we've had
which,
35 listens on our
thank you
strongest
so
one.
much for
Yeah, thanks
for
to our
subscribing.
fans.
Thank you to the fans. Seriously, that's fucking awesome that
is
anybody
pretty tight.
is following along. It's amazing. And
Wait,
honestly, I mean, I've been doing this media thing for a long time. I know how it works. There's a lot of noise on the internet. If we just keep doing this, it'll build up, and we can be at least like some amount helpful to some amount of people on helping them see the different potentials, or the potential for these different modalities. Which it's not just psychedelic. They're like the psychedelics are kind of like the key ingredient, in my opinion. And again, psychedelic administered in the right way, in a therapeutic way, with a trained facilitator in a safe setting, all those things. That's like the central experience to what we would refer to as the healing journey. But then meditation and breathing and fucking yoga and exercise and eating well and sleeping and all, like, journaling and like all of these other things are important modalities that it's like the psychedelic, psilocybin, ketamine, ayahuasca, ibogaine. I've never done that one, but I hear that is...
Hear great things.
Hear great things. These are all like, they're enhanced, they enhance the journey.
Well,
You getting gas?
I'm gonna get some gas.
All right.
Hey.
We got gas. Yeah.
That'd be the name of my nutritional podcast. We've got gas.
So, I think one of the things that's interesting, I think, as it relates to this podcast, is we are both approaching writing out our thoughts more intentionally. Where we are,
that has been awesome.
We're both big fans of the book "The War of Art" by Stephen Pressfield, which, if anybody who has not read The War of Art, it's a super easy read. I'm not a big reader. I don't like to read. It's a short book, very easy to digest, but it is extremely eye-opening as it relates to doing creative work and kind of the creative process. And it's this, it kind of explains how he's a writer, so he's speaking about the creative process from the standpoint of writing, but the process itself is something that can literally be applied to creating anything.
Yeah.
So we are now both actually using kind of that framework to force ourselves to sit down and write out our thoughts. And it's in light of us doing this podcast and hoping to continuously improve our ability to articulate our ideas clearly, and to help us understand our ideas and these thoughts and kind of like concepts that we think are important. And so we are both actively writing out ideas that we think are important and that we think should be discussed. And then our plan is, this is kind of like a free form style of the podcast, but what we want to start doing is sitting down in the studio and recording episodes where we
go over our writing.
Yes, we go over our writings and kind of work through the ideas together.
Because I guess for me, it's like I've gone through phases where I got sick of hearing myself talk.
Yeah.
Because I was just saying words, and then I just think about how much stuff I've said in my life that, like, I don't even know if it was true or if I even agreed with or whatever.
Well, you were a big reader to gain knowledge, as you've described,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
and so I think for a while there you would kind of recap things that you had read, and they were relevant, but they weren't like necessarily your ideas. They
weren't my ideas,
right?
Yeah.
And
so I'm sitting here with a pen, and I'm fucking looking at this paper, and I'm starting to write, and I'm like, what do I actually believe? What do I actually think is true? And what of what I believe is true is worth sharing with anyone? And it's terrifying.
Dude, I've had the same experience where I'm like, what the fuck is worth writing down and potentially sharing with people?
Yeah.
Like, and you know, and what's interesting is starting there and then just fucking writing some shit. It's like if you just stick with it, the important stuff emerges.
This is the war of arts theory, right?
Yeah, it's like you're digging.
And the muse will eventually...
Yeah, it's like you kind of like open up this channel of thought that then starts becoming more interesting, and something worthy of sharing, basically.
Yeah.
Like I most recently this morning was writing about surrender, the concept of surrender, because that was an idea that I did not understand at all. Like several years ago, probably 2019, is when I was working with tail end of the last company with Ryan, and I was still just fucking vice gripping everything and like trying to like bend it to my will, which did not work at all. And Ryan would just fucking...
What was your understanding of surrender, and what is it now?
I didn't understand. I didn't get it at all. And so, because Ryan was like, dude, you have to surrender. He was like, to the point where he's like yelling at me. He was like, dude, just fucking don't do anything. He was like, sit there and don't do anything for a week and see what happens.
This is like while the company is like...
And I would get mad because I would be like, dude, you don't understand. I'm like, it was like... Like, I'm the one that's like ultimately in charge of this.
I'm holding this thing
understand. And meanwhile, I was actually the one destroying it all. And he had gone on quite the fucking journey where he had a rough patch and he clawed his way out of it. So like he kind of like found his bottom and really had a firsthand experience with the idea of surrender. And so he was like, it was still, I think.
So he was thinking in his head, no, you don't understand.
Yeah, that's what I realized in writing. I was like, it's like, man, I had it completely wrong. Where it's like, and even to the point where, like, I thought I was helping him by, like, the two of us getting back together to, like,
revive things
to try to fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and then I was like, no.
Nah, dog.
He was helping. He fucking taught me what surrender was.
He did a favor.
And so anyway, and it's like, I know it's a concept that a lot of people, it's like, what, fucking do nothing? Like, I gotta pay my bills. I gotta fucking,
Yeah.
But it's like, it's surrender to the outcome, right? It's stop being so fixated on the outcome, surrender to the outcome, and do the work.
Yeah.
And that's another concept that's really hard to wrap your head around, because they're like, okay, what work? What do I do? What the fuck? Why do this over that? What is the right thing to do? And that was like whenever we met up for Campfire in like early 2020, that was like my existential crisis. Was like, what the fuck are we supposed to do?
While we're here
like,
on Earth,
am I supposed to start another fucking t-shirt company? Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And anyway, yeah, so that's what I was writing about. And
so what is your understanding today?
Of what? Surrender?
Yeah.
Well, today, my understanding of it is that I am supposed to surrender to God's will and not impose my own will, which to people that aren't religious or don't have don't believe in God or don't have a deep concept of it, like, sounds like just fucking, religious person bullshit. But I don't view myself as that type of believer in God. But the thing that was interesting in the thing I was writing today is whether you believe in God or not, you either believe in God, and God is this all-powerful, all-loving, infinite source of wisdom and love, and you're in pretty much every religion ever, you're supposed to surrender to God's will and not impose your own will, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you believe in God. If you don't believe in God, if you believe in materialism, if you believe that it is atoms and molecules and that there was nothing and then there was the Big Bang or some sort of event that the material world spawned out of nothing, then you believe that everything is cause and effect since the Big Bang, which means there's no free will, and despite your best efforts, everything is going to play out the way that it plays out. And in that instance, if that's what you subscribe to, I've got a lot of thoughts on why I think that is a sad worldview, but if that's what you subscribe to, your only option is to psychologically surrender to the reality that you have no control over anything, right?
Yeah.
So surrender is an important concept to understand
Regardless.
and incorporate into your belief system, whether you believe in God or you believe in nothing.
Man. Huh.
But yeah, and it's just it's surrendering to the unfolding, whether it is fucking atoms randomly bumping into each other since the Big Bang.
Well, I think what I've always, and most people I know that are like, the thing I've always had the hardest time is trusting the process, trusting the unfolding, surrender, like, but also still putting in effort. So it's like, how do you stay in the effort business and out of the results business?
This is why I think the materialist view is a very sad, super difficult worldview to have if you are somebody who thinks about these things deeply. Because I don't know. If you don't believe in God, I have no idea how you decide what to do.
And if you do,
and if you
how do you decide what to do?
believe in God, then you are here to carry out God's will for you and for those that you interact with. And I think that
and how do you figure out what that is?
And the way that you figure that out is to build a relationship with God. And the deeper your relationship with God, the more clear the directives from God are going to be.
It's been my experience. Can't argue with it.
I just wish there was a way to talk about that wasn't so charged, because I come from a... You got to answer that?
David!
Yo, quick question.
What's up, baby?
For the marshals, there's a charge on your card for Rose.
Rose.
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably
on
those...
the 31st.
Those gummies.
Oh, yeah, it was those gummies. It was R&D.
Okay.
Yeah, it was those delights, those Turkish delights.
Yeah. And then on the 25th of March on Madison's card, the Venmo to Maverick.
Yeah, it's
That's a
marketing podcast.
Advertising.
Yeah.
Spend.
And Sydney Conkley, Venmo.
That was reimbursement for us fucking up the footage from her session.
We can call that a marketing expense.
Yeah. She paid her band to come out for a session, and then the recording got fucked up.
And we felt like the right thing to do was to pay her back.
We reimbursed her for the...
Okay, Dillard's and Bee Cave with Apple Pay.
Oh, that was a suit shirt that I needed to go to the Capitol. I don't know where you booked that.
Other expenses.
Phoebe's.
Phoebe's.
1 day later.
Phoebe's?
The diner? Did you go to the diner?
Yeah.
Sounds like a diner. I don't even remember that.
What day was Phoebe's?
On the 7th of March. April, sorry. 7th of April. 1 day after you bought the shirt for the Capitol.
Oh, yeah. That was, yes. That was a meal that I had while, during my day at the Capitol.
All right. That's 100%.
Okay.
That's a 100% expense.
I have Hyderabadi.
Hyderabadi?
In San Antonio.
That was some delicious Indian cuisine that me, Chris, and Clay had before
100%.
we went and met with a distributor.
Okay.
Oh, nice bike out front.
Okay. Same. Same. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
I do wish there are ways to explain it that aren't going to ruffle the feathers of the God people, but also the anti-God people, but also doesn't matter.
Well, I think about it because there was a long period of my life where I wouldn't have understood it, right? I wouldn't have understood it using, again, back to communication, using those traditional religious words, God, faith, surrender, God's will, not your will. Like, my brain would have been like, oh, okay,
I'm out.
fucking religious people. And it's like,
I mean, you and I read the same shit, which was like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like, all those books do it in a way that's like...
But are those talking about that?
Kinda. I mean, they're talking about, like, doing your best and fucking... You know, you ever seen the movie Hackers?
I just...
Do your best, forget the rest.
Well, what's interesting is, so I like a conversation with... Because Brandon Cohen was another of my good friends who helped me understand the idea of surrender. And around that same time, I remember having a long conversation with him about what he believes. And he believes in... He is subscribed to this sect of Hinduism. And... he is the... He has also communicated that, like, in their religion, it's God's will, not your will. These are God's resources, not your resources. You use them to execute God's will, not to pursue your own will. And, like, when I first heard that, what's weird is when I first heard that, it stuck in my head, even though I didn't understand it. It's like...
Did you have, like, bullshit radars going off?
No, it almost stuck in my head like, something about that makes sense, but I don't fucking get it. Like...
I remember when Dave Ramsey said that shit, I was like, yeah, that makes total fucking sense. Because it takes the pressure off completely.
It does, but then it's like, there's just something about it. I don't know. There's something about it that's like, I don't want to fucking do God's will. I want to do my will.
Well, if you don't believe in God, then it's like,
I know. And
for
for the longest time, I was very much on the fence. Where it's like because my journey with it is, the psychedelics shook something loose to where I was like, okay, there's definitely some shit going on that is, I don't fucking understand and is way more bizarre and bigger than whatever the fuck I'm experiencing day to day.
Yeah.
And I was kind of stuck in that headspace for the longest time where it's like, well, I believe in, there's something there. It's not just fucking dirt and rocks. Like, I came to that conclusion first. Like, it's not just dirt and rocks. There is something going on. And I was stuck there because that's not enough. That wasn't enough to, like, actually have faith. This is like, I can't have faith in this ambiguous idea that there's something beyond dirt and rocks. And then it's been this, like, slow progression to, like, oh, I fucking, okay, yeah, it actually is more traditionally, it's more like the traditional articulation of what's going on is way more accurate than I assumed. Or at least, like, I understand what they mean through that string of words.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the best way to explain it. God's will, not yours. God's resources, not your resources.
Right.
Execute God's will. What does God want you to do? What does the all-powerful creator of everything want you to do? And also that all-powerful creator of everything is good and is love and is, like, infinite love and wants the best for...
I think about the idea that, let's say you're walking down the street, you're in a new city, you don't know anybody. Impossible to know, you don't know anyone. No relationships, nothing in this new city. You're walking down the street, busy street, traffic, all of a sudden a little kid just starts running out into the street. Almost every human in the world will run out into the street to grab that kid without even thinking.
That's interesting, yes. Because if that is just a fucking meat sack of atoms, why the fuck do you care? Right? Why do you care?
Well, and you could also say, like, well, it is programmed into you to try to preserve the species, right? Like, there's all kinds of ways you can try to attack that.
Right.
But I think it's also just a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. But why?
But why?
Programmed into you by who? For what? Why? Why do you care?
Right.
Why is there any meaning in that? Why is there any meaning in anything? If it's just fucking random particles bumping into each other since the Big Bang, why does anything mean anything? Exactly. Oh, you just make up the meaning. It's like, okay.
You mean me?
Who? Me? Yeah, I'm a fucking idiot. There's no way I made up all this meaning. Anyway, we can leave it at that because we're back.
We're fucking back. David is doing accounting. Although he did choose the intuitive path this weekend, and we're very proud of him.
It's amazing.
All right, let's kill it.